casual mode, TF2's official matchmaking system is broken. I'm not talking about bugs. Casual matchmaking actually works as intended the vast majority of the time. Other than the map vote bug that still isn't fixed. Please God, I don't want to go to Brazil. No, the issue is with how casual was intended to work in the first place. In other words, casual is fundamentally broken. It, as a result of many terrible design choices, fights tooth and nail to prevent you from enjoying TF2. All those one-sided stomps, or the times you were put into a match right as it was ending, or the absurd amount of time you spend not even playing the game. These are all issues that are largely caused by casual itself. TF2 has always been a chaotic game. 24 players is a lot for a single server, especially considering the many different playstyles and skill levels each of those players might have. Then there's all of the different game modes. Some matches can end within minutes, others can last for over an hour, and others still are theoretically infinite. So many possible ways for a game to play out, with none of those possibilities making everyone happy. For me personally, I don't want to be deadlocked in a stalemate, or stuck with a team that insists on running 5 spies. The crux of the issue, however, is that there's no universal agreement on what the ideal match of TF2 even looks like. I might be frustrated by those 5 spies on my team, while they're out in their own little worlds and having a blast. I find Dust Bowl stalemates boring, but others find them comfy. So what was Valve's solution to this issue? They shook that shit up. Back in 2007, when TF2 first launched, the only way to play was with player-run community servers. But vanilla servers generally followed the default server settings that Valve had put in place. Upon loading a map for the first time, a 45-minute timer would start. Throughout that time, there was no limit to how many rounds could be played. Players could freely spectate and switch teams. They could call for team scrambles. And typically, team scrambles would happen automatically if one team won too often. Lobbies naturally evened out over those 45 minutes, which meant it was usually in a player's best interest to stay. If one particular round wasn't balanced or fun, there was a reasonable chance that the next one would be. Fast forward to 2016, and all of this would change with a single update: Meet Your Match. This was the update that dropped the old quick play system in favor of casual mode, a matchmaking system that, unlike quick play, would only put players into Valve servers. That's not all though, because with the introduction of casual, Valve also completely revamped how their servers operated in a blatant attempt to give TF2 a more competitive feel. 2016 was around the time that esport hype was at its peak, with Overwatch being released just a few months before Meet Your Match, to universal acclaim. Maybe Valve wanted to change TF2 to keep up with the times, or maybe they had dollar signs in their eyes after their success with CSGO and Dota 2. Whatever their reasons were, Valve's tampering with TF2's already perfected formula immediately blew up in their faces. From day one, casual was widely despised by players for a long list of reasons. You couldn't switch teams. Team scrambles were removed. There was no auto balance. The old map timer was dropped for a best 2 out of 3 system. You'd be hit with a 10-minute cooldown for leaving a match, and so on. The rationale behind these changes was laughably transparent. Valve clearly wanted casual to be this epic, intense, competitive environment. Everyone's gotta stay on the same teams. Everyone's gotta stay until the end, otherwise it wouldn't be competitive. One team has to definitively win, and one team has to definitively lose. Following Meet Your Match, Valve slowly reverted some of their worst decisions, like the 10-minute cooldown and lack of auto balance. But even now, nearly a decade after its introduction, casual is still far from perfect. First and foremost, once the matchmaker has found the game for you, you're automatically placed onto a team before you load into the server. Sounds innocent enough, until you realize this means players who haven't even loaded in yet are considered to be part of your team. Teams can look balanced to the matchmaker, when in reality it's a 6v12 because half of my team is away from their computer doing who knows what. And God forbid someone's game crashes, because the matchmaker will reserve their empty slot for minutes. Even once everyone finally connects, it's usually too late. The team that started with more players has uber advantage, sentries built, sticky traps laid, banners built, points already captured, etc. This was never an issue until casual. It was literally impossible for teams to be unbalanced from the very start of the round, because before casual, you picked your own team, and only once you successfully loaded in. Not to worry though, Valve tried to fix this issue that they created by forcing those that made it into the server to wait up to 150 seconds for everyone else. Yep, after waiting to get into a match, you need to wait over 2 more minutes before the round actually starts. This doesn't even fix the issue, by the way, because in nearly every game I play, there's at least one person who's still AFK even after the pre-round timer, which often means one team is forced to start at a disadvantage. Again, none of this was an issue before casual. But with casual being designed as a skill-based matchmaking system, teams need to be pre-selected by the matchmaker to try forming evenly skilled teams. Originally, the only metric casual's matchmaking used to determine a player's skill level was their experience. But in the Blue Moon update of 2018, casual was given a glyco system that works, quote, behind the scenes to better create balanced matches and group players by skill level. Yeah, balanced matches my ass. TF2 is a uniquely terrible choice for any MMR system, because an MMR rating only makes sense for players that are consistently playing the same way. How, for example, are you supposed to rank someone that usually plays to win and pub stomps, but sometimes likes to dick around as Trollger? Never mind the fact that TF2 matches are a chaotic 24-player clusterfuck, which muddies up any attempts by an MMR system to give an objective rating to your performance. Your MMR in TF2 is meaningless, which means teams in casual are effectively chosen at random, much like the quick play servers that preceded casual. But since the matchmaker decides who's on what team before people even load in, one-sided stomps in casual are even more likely by regularly forcing teams to start at a numerical disadvantage. Know what else makes stomps more likely? Parties. This might be controversial, but I think allowing up to 6 friends to play on the same team does more harm than good. Before casual, playing on the same team as 1 or 2 of your friends was fine. But having a large group of friends on one team was called team stacking, and was generally frowned upon, since such a group could easily dominate any server. It wasn't a huge deal though, because quick play era servers split team stacks up via team scrambles. Still, if you and your friends got separated by a scramble, it wasn't hard to get 2 or 3 friends back together, since anyone could freely switch teams. It only became difficult to keep everyone together when trying to play with a large group, which is a good thing. With casual, you can't switch teams or scramble them to even the playing field. The only thing the matchmaker does to try and solve the team stacking issue is prioritize pitting large parties against other large parties, which is better than nothing, but it ignores the fact that not all parties are equal. The team with the party of average Joes is going to get stomped by the team with the literal comp stack 9 times out of 10. And without team scrambles or the ability to switch teams, if the first round was a one-sided stomp, round 2 is almost guaranteed to be the same. Why stay for that? Many people don't. They'd rather re-queue with the hopes of being put into a balanced game, making getting pub stomped a second time even more likely for those that stay. Sure, the matchmaker might find new players to fill those empty slots, but those slots will effectively remain empty until each player loads in, preventing autobalance from doing its job and fixing the unbalanced teams immediately like it's supposed to. Then, after getting stomped twice in a row, that's it. Every Valve server goes straight to the map vote as soon as a team wins twice, or after 2 rounds on attack, defend, or payload. Sometimes this ends up taking about as long as with the old 45-minute timer, but other times, especially on King of the Hill and 5CP, a lobby might last for only 10 minutes or less. Alright, no big deal. I'll just wait until the map changes and I can go right back to playing. Wait, why is everyone leaving? Are they done playing for the night? Nope, they're re-queuing to get into a new server, even though they're already in one. Why? Because they, like you and I, just want to play the video game. And to achieve that, it's actually faster to re-queue. If you stay, you need to wait half a minute staring at the scoreboard, then wait as the next map loads in, then wait another 2 minutes because of the pre-round timer. Even if the same map is voted again, the map that's already loaded in, the server still boots everyone out to load the map in again. Why? Back in the quick play era, voting to extend the current map did exactly that. It simply added more time to the 45-minute timer. The phenomenon of players leaving the server upon the map vote only started because Casual's garbage design incentivized players to do so. This was not a thing before Casual. And because lots of players suddenly leave the server at the map vote, that means lots of other players are put into the server after the match has already ended. These are players that had to wait to be put into the server in the first place, wait for the map to load, then wait staring at the scoreboard for a game that they didn't play, then wait to load the next map, then wait for the 2-minute pre-round timer to finally play in a match that may not even be populated enough to be playable by that point. It's honestly impressive how effective Casual is at wasting your time. Playing Casual is like an elaborate game of musical chairs. Everyone constantly re-queuing and waiting in hopes of getting into a fun, balanced server, which, if you're lucky enough to find, you get to enjoy for maybe 30 minutes tops before everyone leaves at the map vote and you have to start the cycle all over again. Seriously, the next time you play Casual, take note of just how much of your time is being wasted. Take note of how often one team is at a major disadvantage because players that haven't loaded in yet are hogging up slots. Take note of how many matches are unfun, one-sided stomps. Take note of how often you need to queue and re-queue and load maps and stare at scoreboards. And my god, I haven't even gotten to the... It's no secret that Casual is infested with both bots and human cheaters. This is because Casual is played exclusively on unmoderated Valve servers. Their only line of defense is VAC anti-cheat, which barely works, and when it does work, bot hosters and cheaters can simply make new Steam accounts. But a big part of why cheaters can effortlessly ruin Casual is that every single change made to Valve servers back in 2016 was beneficial to cheaters. It's no coincidence that the first instances of botted accounts swarming servers were in the days after Casual's introduction, long before the source code leak of 2020 that many incorrectly attribute to the start of bots. Bots and cheaters are at their weakest when servers are full of normal players and those players are staying in the server. If one player leaves and a blatant cheater takes their spot, they get kicked instantly. But as I've explained, most Casual servers are not like this. Players are constantly leaving because it's in their best interest to do so, meaning servers are constantly at risk of cheaters flooding in. Getting rid of one cheater only takes a few seconds, but 2, 3, or 4 cheaters all at once? That's gonna take a few minutes. You know what takes less than a few minutes? Re-queuing and hoping to land into a bot-free server, putting the server you're leaving at an even greater risk of getting overrun by bots. In addition to removing the ability to switch teams, Casual also removed spectating, which was a valuable tool for watching over suspect players and catching cheaters. Then there's cheater parties. I don't know how Valve thought this was a good idea, but anyone can be 100% immune from being kicked by queuing with a full party of 6 friends, assuming your friends don't vote to kick you. Vote kicks need at least 60% yes votes to go through, so they'll always fail against a party member because half of the team is the party. Not only do Casual's flaws make cheaters more powerful, but cheaters also make Casual's flaws even more aggravating. Every time you go to queue, you have to not only hope for a game that's relatively balanced, and not only hope that you aren't being put into a game right before the map changes and the server dies, but you also have to hope you don't land in a cheater-infested server. And even if you're lucky and get placed into a full, cheater-free match, you're on a ticking timer, as all it takes is a few players rage quitting or people re-queuing at the map vote for cheaters to flood in and drive all the normal players out, putting you right back at square one. Casual, in its current state, is an awful fit for TF2. But it doesn't have to stay that way. If there were, say, some hypothetical movement to repair TF2, then fixing casual is something that we as a community should be discussing and demanding from Valve in addition to the bot problem. But what exactly should we push for? Here are my proposed changes to casual. Slash the 150-second pre-round timer down to 30 seconds. Only reserve slots for players if they're in a party. Solo queuers pick their team upon loading in. Get rid of the best 2 out of 3 system and revert it back to the old 45-minute map timer. Bring back auto-team scrambles in some capacity. Note on that last one, I'm not suggesting we let people call for a vote to scramble the teams whenever, since that was incredibly exploitable. I'm only talking about the automatic team scramble that the server forced whenever one team won too many times. Or it could be a new system that, for example, automatically calls a vote for a scramble when one team wins too much and there's a major difference in points between the teams. Anyways, let players freely switch teams and spectate again. If the same map is voted again, don't boot everyone out. Just scramble the teams, reset the map timer, and go right back to playing. I might be proven wrong in the comments, but I really can't imagine many people objecting to these changes. There'd be more freedom, more balanced games, and more reasons for people to stay in a server and keep it populated. Beyond what I've just listed out, I've got another potential change that I'm very on the fence about. Not automatically putting parties on the same team anymore. On one hand, this would probably lead to more balanced games, and definitely help against cheater parties. But on the other hand, I know a lot of people would be upset by this. I don't know, I'm just gonna add this to the list as a maybe. Some of you might also be wondering why I haven't brought up ad hoc connections. Before casual, all Valve servers showed up on the server browser and could be joined from there. It was great, but I don't know if it'd be possible for this to return without screwing up casual's matchmaking, since it was never designed to account for ad hoc connections. This can be another maybe. Like, it'd be cool if the server browser had a separate tab for Valve servers. I just don't know enough about programming to say whether this is even possible without completely reworking casual. But that's where you all come in. What do you think needs to be changed about casual? Obviously, fixing the cheater problem is top priority, but that's also something we're all in agreement about. Maybe I'm just a boomer, and most players today think casual is perfect as is. I honestly don't know. Whatever your opinion is, let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.